Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 1 of The Fall of the House of X, written by Gerry Duggan. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. Now Krakoa has just begun to fight and Mutantkind has never had a greater fall. Mutants went from the highs of Krakoa where things were glorious, for it was a place where they were safe and happy, to now the lowest of lows, where our heroes are now outlawed, hunted, killed, most of their kind missing or dead. And as for one of their greatest leaders, Cyclops, he too has seen better days as he is now on trial facing the death penalty. So ready or not, the time has come for the X-Men to make their final stand against the forces that have struck them low, for the day is now and the place is here as the fall of the House of X begins. Now when it comes to the intro of the fall of the House of X, it starts with some dialogue from a recurring dream. Now Scott's dream dialogue pretty much sums up this entire issue, and it goes as follows. He knows it's a recurring dream, but it feels so real. He knows he is being dragged into an angry town even though he doesn't know what he did to deserve the hangman. But maybe deserving it has nothing to do with it. Maybe it was just fate that brought him here. Now once on trial, he got to say his piece, but it matters not because the fix is already in. The judge is someone he recognized, someone he thought he knew, but instead of helping him, he threw him to the wolves. And their version of justice was swift. Now in the end Cyclops should be scared, but he is not. He was an innocent man, so when the world dropped from under his feet he refused to fall. And then is when he wakes up. Now the very next page, we picked up with Cyclops exiting a prison transport, but while he is doing that, he is reminiscing about the moment he felt Jean Grey get murdered, and how death never suited her. And the only reason he wasn't there for her was because Orchis got a jump on him. Much like how they have the jump on him right now. Because Orchis has Cyclops right where they want him, on trial. And all of Mutantkind are his co-defendants. Now, at this moment, Cyclops is playing along, only to buy the Resistance enough time to strike back. But what makes the Orchis threat so insidious is the way they made everyone watching cheer at their suffering. And one way they choose to do it is by invoking symbolism, because humans love their symbolism. So the place they chose for his trial is the same place they tried Magneto, Paris. So with all that in place, Scott is sure that this time the trial will go their way, but he is also aware that the war will not. So following this, we transition to the very next page where the narrator is talking about how the Krakoan era was remarkable for the advancement and mutant technology, and one such technology they bring up is the combination of their mutant powers into circuits. These circuits were so powerful it helped the mutants form a nation that was carbon negative and spanned several worlds. In fact, there is a consensus among historians that the primordial circuits in mutant technology was called the fastball special. Now the fastball special was a physical attack where Colossus pitched Wolverine with uncanny accuracy at a target. But now in dark days following the third Hellfire Gala, Colossus and Logan were infiltrating the sewers under the courthouse in Paris. And their dark mood led them to invert the fastball special into something new. So as Colossus threw the Orchis agent, Wolverine was on the other side to catch him with his claws at the ready. So with the target put down, the two had a difficult time coming up with a name for their newest circuit. But due to their current situation, Wolverine decided to call it the screwball special considering their current situation. So with that established, the next thing on these two agenda is to wait, for their main mission is to free Cyclops. So with the team lying in wait beneath the sewers, we transition to Cyclops sitting in his holding cell waiting for his trial. But while he is there he requests to speak to Dr. Gregor, who is accompanied by an Omega Sentinel. Now, during their interaction, Cyclops asked the doctor about her grief due to the bourbon inside of her coffee. Now this completely set her off because of her repressed feelings about her husband's death. So with her anger on full display, she lets Cyclops know that he is here because she wanted to see him and tell him that she may have lost the battle and a husband, but she and mankind have won the war. So with the doctor done saying her piece, Cyclops then proceeds to ask what will happen after every last mutant is dead under her heel. Now at first the doctor responds by saying humankind will live happily ever after. But see, that's where she made a mistake because the question wasn't directed towards her but rather the Sentinel at her side. Because as we all know, the Sentinels are the true threat to all parties involved. So with that playing out, we jump over to the skies above the courthouse with Rasputin Ford doing her thing. Now the reason why she is there is because she is currently on a mission to help save Cyclops. In fact, she actually plays a critical role in accomplishing the mission, but the problem is, she just got a telepathic message from one Charles Xavier. Now inside the message, Charles requests her to aid him in his own mission, a mission he claims is more important than the one she is on. In fact, Charles goes as far as to say, his mission has the ability to save them all and fix everything if completed. So with the offer on the table, Rasputin chooses to go with Charles and exit the arena, leaving both Wolverine and Colossus underground awaiting her signal. But unfortunately that signal would never come, for the Orcus soldiers proceed to ambush them in the sewers. So with the two-man team caught off guard, the Orcus soldiers proceeded to nail them both to the wall using an electromagnet wave cannon. And once they were fastened into place, they proceeded to burn the skin right off of Logan's body using a flamethrower. So with things looking dire for our heroes, one Kurt bamfs into action, and with great timing, eliminates the electromagnetic cannon, which freed his friends. So with the tables once again in their favor, Kurt informs them that Rasputin has abandoned them and perhaps they should just start the invasion of Earth. Which ultimately means, the rescue mission for Scott will have to be put on hold for the time being. So with everyone in agreement, Wolverine states that they will show no more fear from this moment on, because from this moment on, they are the ones who will be feared, and with those words, Kurt bamfs them to safety. So following that, we transition to the trial and it goes as expected. The prosecutor is calling the mutants a menace and an invasive foreign species. And he even brings up how Cyclops is considered the leaders of the X-Men, and because of his role as leader all crimes his people have committed stems from his command. So with that stated, Cyclops refuses to offer a defense because he didn't want to dignify any of this nonsense with the response. Because he knows there is good in humanity, but he also knows that he is not being prosecuted by it. So with Cyclops' position made clear, we transitioned over to the Bloom Station with the higher-ups of Orcus having a celebration over a guilty verdict. Because with this verdict, Dr. Stasis alongside the rest of the members of the Orcus leadership believe that this verdict puts an end to anything Ben Urich can write about. With that established, Omega Sentinel turns to Nimrod and tells him that he is free to eliminate Krakoa as soon as he wants. Which was exactly what it went to do, because Nimrod flew straight to the island and attempted to take him out. But in a twist of events, Krakoa ended up spitting out a mass of amber, which shut down all Nimrod's operation systems. So with the big bad Nimrod offline, Krakoa ended up opening up the ground and swallowing him whole before going on the run. Now, for the past couple of months, the X-Men have had their backs to the wall while mutants were killed and scattered, which left Krakoa weakened and running for its life. Now Krakoa was more than just their living home, it was a promise of a mutant future, united by peaceful coexistence. But humanity didn't want coexistence. In fact, the Doctor went as far as to deploy sentinels all over the planet to relay her message, and it went as follows: people of Earth, while you slept the world changed. This is Dr. Gregor of Orcus, and she wanted to inform them that they were lulled into a false sense of security because of a few good things that the mutants did. But in her words, the mutants did not care for humanity. And then she goes on to say, Krakoa has been proven to be an invasive alien species that Orcus will work to pull from Earth's garden. So because of that, the next few hours will be uncomfortable, for they do not relish the threat of violence, but the tree of liberty is dry, and she's thirst for righteous vengeance. And because of that, Krakoa will be eradicated, and the mutants who don't leave the planet peacefully will be liquidated. And the mutants should consider this as their final warning. So with that threat issue, we pick up with the X-Men team aboard their jet, and while they are there, they're all wondering, when is Iron Man going to initiate his big plan? Which should take place in issue number 14 and 15 of Invincible Iron Man. So in comic book time, it is being executed now. But as for the overall plan, they were not ready for the invasion quite yet, but due to the current turns of events, they have no choice but to spring their trap now. So considering their current location over London, Shadowcat took the opportunity to take advantage of several gates in said country to rally the troops as soon as possible. So on Shadowcat's world tour, her first stop was to Emma Frost and Tony Stark, and following that, she jumped over to planet Arakko to contact Wolford to inform Forge to prepare his fleet in deep space. And once that was done, Shadowcat made sure to slingshot over to the old X-Mansion to recruit Juggernaut. And while all that was going on, Emma made sure to inform the rest that they may be fighting earlier than they will prefer, but they have the utmost confidence in everyone's abilities because at the end of the day, they must succeed. After all, the whole world is at stake and they must be nothing less than fabulous. They're fighting off extinction, and in the hours to come, if anyone's back is to the wall, then all they will have to do is call Emma and she'll put her thumb on the scales to help them. So with all the troops galvanized, Shadowcat had one final stop, and that was to Island M. But when she got there, she realized that Polaris was nowhere to be found, because on the far side of Jupiter within the decaying celestial head, an ancient evil lurked. That evil was the Brood. Now the Brood are the most hated parasites in the universe. Until not long ago, they fell under the control of a mutant named Brew. Now Brew's last order was to wait for Jean Grey, but the person who showed up was none other than Polaris. And Polaris made sure to inform him that Jean was killed, but those who lived are ready to resist. So with that out there, she proceeds to ask if he was ready to go to war, in which he was fully down for the cause. He was fully down to avenge the savior of this people, the savior of the Brood. So with that said, this issue of the Fall of the House of X comes to an end. So with that said, I have to say I'm excited about what the X-Men have in store for us. And I find it awesome that they are mirroring the house and powers of X with their comic formats, and when it comes to art, it's hands down perfect. And when it comes to what this issue is trying to relay, I'll say it did a decent job on the later pages to depict the more darker themes. Especially when Dr. Gregor used the Sentinels to convey her version of Charles's "as you slept" speech. The same speech that ushered in the current Krakoan era. Now with that out there, I really enjoy the writing and can't wait to see what is coming next. And if you want to stay in the loop about any individual storyline, then how about you hop over to the playlist section down below or in the link cards above to get all caught up on the X-Men runs. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.